We're here at the Okinawan Festival, the 40th edition. People come here for food and games and food, especially the food. The food is incredible.
Yeah.
There's
We just ate a wiener and it tastes really good.
Yep, he just had an andagi dog. It was incredible.
And it was a wiener.
And it was a wiener. People come here to look at the plants.
And I got a popsicle.
Yep, and win some prizes. So let's go check it out. Okinawans make up only 3% of Hawaii's population, but they have made a major impact. That's most obvious when you're standing in the crowds at the annual Okinawan Festival, which is the largest ethnic festival in Hawaii with over 50,000 people visiting from all over the world. The Okinawan migration began over 100 years ago and overcame a litany of obstacles since then. But maybe you don't know anything about Okinawa or any of the things that differentiate them from mainland Japanese. So let me tell you all about them. Local culture here in Hawaii is made up of bits and pieces of its different immigrant communities. I want to tell you their stories. This time, I'll talk about the Okinawan community. You might know a handful of things about Okinawa. Karate was developed there, and Karate Kid 2 was set in Okinawa.
Rule number 1. Karate for defense only.
Okinawan people are famous for having some of the longest life expectancies on Earth. There are a lot of US military bases there. But if you don't know anything about Okinawa or the Okinawan people, the first thing you need to know is that you should avoid confusing them with the mainland Japanese, because there are a lot of differences between them. For several centuries, the Ryukyu Kingdom encompassed over 100 islands that extended for 700 miles south of Japan and east of Taiwan. The Ryukyu existed as a distinct and separate culture for hundreds of years and traded with China and Southeast Asia, so their culture has a lot of influences from these areas. It wasn't until 1879, when Japan formally annexed the Ryukyu Kingdom, did the island become a part of Japan and took the name Okinawa Prefecture, after the main island of Okinawa. Shortly after the annexation by Japan, the economy started to suffer, so Okinawan people facing extreme poverty started looking for opportunities abroad. Kyuzo Toyama was an activist who promoted emigration, and he assembled the first group of 26 migrants who arrived in Hawaii in January 1900. This was the beginning of the Okinawan community in Hawaii, and by 1908 there were over 8,000 Okinawans living and working in Hawaii, primarily as laborers working on the sugar plantations across the islands. Work on the plantations was grueling, and they faced discrimination from everyone, even the mainland Japanese, since they had a different language, different culture, totally separate customs. So the Okinawans who decided to put down roots and settle in Hawaii created different clubs related to the specific regions in Okinawa that they came from to help provide community support and connect new arrivals with people from the same village who may already live here. There were over 50 clubs associated with different towns and villages in Okinawa, some of which only had a handful of members. The first generation Okinawans worked on the plantations for very low wages, and the second generation experienced discrimination during World War II, being sent to the internment camps along with the Japanese. But by the third generation, Okinawans achieved a standard of living, becoming small business owners or professionals. Post-war, the Okinawan clubs provided support to Okinawa after a major battle on the island left it ravaged. The Hawaii Okinawan Club sent food and clothing and even livestock over to Okinawa to help them rebuild. This was also the time that the nearly 50 different Okinawan clubs joined together to become the Hawaii Unified Okinawa Association. Over the past 40 years, they have organized the Okinawan Festival to show what Okinawa has to offer. I came for the fresh andagi, which is similar to a donut. It's very delicious. I also got an andagi wrapped hot dog, which is incredible. There are live performances and a section where they sell potted plants, some of the nicest I've ever seen. There's a bonsai display. At night, the festival becomes a bon dance, and if you don't know, Obon is a Japanese festival where you honor the spirits of your ancestors with music and dancing, called a bon odori, kind of like Japanese Halloween, sort of. The Okinawa Festival happens every summer, usually on Labor Day weekend, so if you happen to be on Oahu, it's worth a visit. The Okinawan community in Hawaii is extremely proud, and for good reason. They overcame a lot and smashed through all sorts of barriers over the past century. The Okinawa Association's guiding principle is to preserve the Uchi Nanchu spirit, where Uchi Nanchu is the distinct traditions and cultural cornerstones that differentiate them from the mainland Japanese. They have been able to carve out their own space here in Hawaii and maintain their own identity and their links to the Okinawan Islands. When I researched this, I was shocked to find out that the Okinawans only make up only 3% of the population. I thought it was way higher. Then again, I grew up in Mililani, and it turns out the Okinawa Center, which is the headquarters of the Hawaii Unified Okinawa Association, is right down the street. There's always talk about migrants who come from tough economic conditions trying to find a better life in America, and there are worries that they won't be able to assimilate. The Okinawans show us that you don't need to do that. They held on to their traditions and language and culture and arts, and now Hawaii is celebrating these things alongside them. In fact, the Okinawan Festival is the largest ethnic celebration in the state, with over 50,000 visitors every year. I mean, just look at the line for the fresh andagi. It's almost out the door. Well, there you have it. I'm planning on making this the first in a series where I talk about the different immigrant groups who have made their impact here in Hawaii. The Okinawans have made a big impact here. There's even a plaque at the Hawaii Okinawan Center that goes over the similarities between these islands. Both Hawaii and Okinawa are tropical islands with similar climates. They both have distinct cultures and sovereign monarchies that existed for centuries. They were both annexed by a different country sometime in the late 1800s. And if you remember at the top of the video, I mentioned that Karate Kid 2 is set in Okinawa, but it was actually filmed here on the east coast of Oahu at Kahalu. And most people didn't even notice because that's how similar we are. So outside of Japan, there's only a couple of established Okinawan communities. One of them is here in Hawaii, and the other one is in Brazil, and that's pretty much it. If you want to experience Okinawan culture or food or events, you can come here or you can go to Brazil. Well, I guess you can go to Okinawa too. That's probably your best option. So maybe you're watching this from the mainland and you're planning a trip to Hawaii and you want to try something totally unique and different. You want to come home with a story that's different than anybody else's trip. Well, why don't you try and check out one of the many Okinawan restaurants, try some Okinawan dishes, something you can't really get on the mainland. Or maybe you or your parents were stationed in Okinawa at some point and you miss it. You always wanted to go back, but you can't figure out a way to make your way all the way back to Okinawa. Well, you can come visit Hawaii. We have all these Okinawan events, Okinawan community, over a dozen Okinawan restaurants. You can have some champuru or rafute, the braised pork, Okinawan soba. You can even have taco rice. If you don't know, it's seasoned beef and lettuce, tomato, cheese, salsa, all the stuff you find in a Taco Bell taco, but it's on top of white rice, and I swear to God, it is so delicious. There are even a lot of places where you can get awamori, and I heard if you look hard enough, you can even get some habushu. So if you don't know what awamori is, it's like distilled rice wine, like a really strong sake. But habushu is that strong sake, that awamori, but it's bottled with a snake in it, and it definitely has some intense snake flavor. Definitely something to try once, maybe never try again. I know it's not for me, but some people like it. There's so much more to say about Okinawa and its people and its culture and Hawaii and the connections between these two places. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll come back to this story at some point in the future. Well, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell all your friends. Until next time.